It's great to be back in Southern County Fair to be with so many friends and family. I was watching Hardy the other night with Biles, and I walked in, and Mrs. Biles looked at me and she said, "Will you carry your other's grandson?" Yes, ma'am, I am. It was a compliment of my life. And I love being around family up here. My mom's from Noxopeta, so anytime I get this part of the state, it's just special to me. But I want to talk to you about a couple of things today. Speaking of family, my very first best friend is here with me today, my sister. So Carrie's on the front row. Lauren and the girls are at home. Corvette had a fever the other day, so she's going to keep them at the house. Next year, you'll see her either climbing in the rafters or pulling one of these beams down. She's a wild child. Speaking of wild, we've been here for 19 months now. You come into office as the first time statewide elected official. Not only do you have a contentious presidential election to deal with, but you're giving COVID-19 as well, and let's just throw in a hurricane for good measure. There are a couple reasons why I think we were successful with that. And first and foremost is our partnerships with our circuit clerks and our elections commissioners. And for those of you who do not know, Mississippi is a bottom-up state, so really hard work happens at the local level. So I appreciate our circuit clerks and our elections commissioners and what they do. One of the things we did coming into office, we announced an 82-county tour to go visit with all our circuit clerks and elections commissioners because I believe relationships matter. And I want to go to each of their offices so they knew that I cared. They knew that I want to work with them because they knew more about elections than I did. So I wanted to have that relationship so I could lean on them. When I announced it at the clerk's convention, I said, look, I'm coming to all 82 counties. Well, there was a Democrat clerk in the back, there was a citywide Republican clerk in the back, who was a friend of mine. The Democrat didn't know it. The Democrat leans over to the Republican and says, he'll never come to my county. Guess where one of the first counties I went to? That clerk. And the reason why is because I wanted to send a message. Yes, I'm a Republican and I'm conservative, but I got elected to serve all of Mississippi. Not just Republicans, not Democrats. So I went straight to our office because I wanted to send that message. I don't care if you're Republican, I don't care if you're a Democrat, I care if you're Mississippian. And that's why I'm here. So I give a lot of credit to our clerks. One of the things we saw in the hurricane, we mentioned the hurricane there, one of the things we saw is we had so many first responders from North Mississippi coming down. We have first responders from all across this country coming into our state. So thankfully back in 2014, we added a provision to our U of Power, which is how our overseas citizens and military men and women vote. Thank God for them. We added our first responders to that provision. So these men and women who left North Mississippi to come get power on back in South Mississippi after Hurricane Zeta, they didn't have a chance to go vote. So thankfully, with our provision we have in the U of Power, we were able to give with our circuit clerks, these men and women who left their families and friends to come make sure that we could vote. In all of probably 5 or 6 counties, every precinct was without power. The night before Election Day on that Tuesday, everyone but 2 were up. And I want to say a big thank you to Energy, to Sealer Electric, Mississippi Power, to our guys that were committed to making sure that this power was back home so we could vote. On Tuesday morning, before the very first door opened, every single precinct was powered back up. That's because of relationships and teamwork. That's what happens when you do that. But again, this provision where our first responders are going to come in and vote for the U of Power provision for first responders, I started calling these other states essential workers. And I said, hey, you have this provision because you've got some folks here from your state, and we'll make sure that they can vote. Well, no, Michael, we don't. So I called the National Association of Secretaries of State and said, look, we need to work on this across the country to make sure that these first responders who are responding to our families so we can vote have that same provision to protect their right to vote and their voice of democracy. So now it's a national movement. I've testified in West Virginia, I'm going to Iowa in 2 weeks, but Mississippi's leading the nation on this issue. We're first. We're telling other states how to do it. That's incredible. That's a great thing for us. You don't hear about that in the news, but that's what Mississippi's about, leading the country. The second thing I think that made us so successful is our incredible staff. And you see me up here, you see me on the newspapers, on TV, but it's not me, it is an us effort. And we are led by one of the Neshoba County's finest, Carla Reed Cornell. Carla's over here, waiting for Carla. Does a phenomenal job, and be it Felicia Simmons in Business Services or Aaron Cooper in Securities. Every single person in that Secretary of State's office loves Mississippi, and they love serving you. And I told each of them, when you get a phone call from someone in Mississippi, I want you to be pleasant. I want you to shock them that they actually had a good experience with government, because we work for them. We work for Mississippi. You're not their boss. They are our boss, and don't you ever forget that. And you never know what kind of experience you're going to have with somebody. So if you share a little bit of joy, give them a good experience with government, you may change their entire life, their entire outlook. Who knows? So be friendly. The second thing I want to talk to you about is our regulatory reform we've been fighting hard about. You heard about that on the campaign. People say Mississippi's a red state. Surely regulatory work is not that hard. 9.3 million words. It takes over 500 hours to read all of them. Mississippi is one of the most regulated states in the Southeast. So, as I told you about, we have the OLRC, the Occupational Licensing Review Commission, on which sits myself, the Attorney General, and the Governor. So any rule or regulation from 29 boards and commissions comes to us. If it's overburdensome, overly broad, not narrowly tailored for public health benefit, we can strike those down. Go back to the drawing board, start over, because regulations are bad for business. Now I'm okay with smart regulations. When you got 9.3 million words and it takes you 518 hours to read all of them, that's a problem. So we're going to cut those. So ORC is great, but it only hurts the 29 boards and commissions. What can we do to expand that? So we launched what we call the Tackle the Tape initiative. And the Tackle the Tape initiative, I want you to go to our website and look at that, because I need your help. When you see a regulation or a statute or anything that's bad for businesses in Mississippi, we want you to report that to us. Because once we have that report, we can go to these agencies, we can go to the legislature and say, hey, we need to strike this because it's bad for business. One of the things that's done is catapulted Mississippi. In 2019, we had a net number of new businesses of about 3,000. In 2020 with COVID, because of the efforts that we're making, we had a net new number of 33,000 new businesses in Mississippi. 11 times more than 2019 with COVID in our face. You say, why does that happen, Michael? It happens because we're serious about cutting the regulatory burden, making sure that businesses do what they do best without government interference. Get them out of the way. That's what we do. So the White House, we launched this last year on social media. The White House calls and says, look, we see what you're doing here, cutting the regulatory burden in Mississippi, and President Trump was really successful with that. You saw it with the economy. But we don't know what you're doing in Mississippi, cutting the regulatory burden. So I spent an hour on the phone with the White House telling them about this initiative. Well, they call back a month later and they say, look, we're going to have a national teleconference. Could you from Mississippi tell these other state leaders what's going on in Mississippi so they can do the same in their states? And again, lead the country right here from Mississippi. You don't hear about that in the news, but we're on the cutting edge of this. And the reason why that's important is because we're going to continue to plow this ground, cut the regulatory burden. Because we need more opportunities in Mississippi so our sons and our daughters can stay here, and live here, and grow and be a better and bigger Mississippi. That's what we do. In closing, I want to tell you a little bit about a book I've been reading here of late. It's called The American Cause, and if you've not read it, I'm actually rereading it now. If you've not read it, I want you to read that. One of the things about The American Cause that it talks about, one of the center concepts, is America is not perpetual. It doesn't just happen. It takes men and women who want to make that sacrifice to continue the greatest country on earth. So we need your help. Whether it's you going to a PTA meeting or a school board meeting to see if critical race theory is being taught in your schools. Whether it's as simple as you paying closer attention to your elected officials to make sure that they're not only talking a good game, but doing a good game. Whether it's you coming to our office and saying, Michael, tell me more about how I can be involved in making government better. We need your help. It's not perpetual. For a bigger and better Mississippi, for a bigger and better United States, it takes all of us working together. And we can do it. I've told you about two examples of how Mississippi's leading the country. We're only going to get better. So I encourage you, stay in the fight with us. This country, this state is incredible. It's only going to get better. Thank you all for allowing me to serve as your Secretary of State. God bless Mississippi, and God bless these United States of America.